Welcome, geometry students, to class today on this Tuesday the 18th. Hope you guys enjoyed your day off yesterday and hope you're ready to go over some math today. First of all, some announcements. There will be obviously no test or quiz this week. We didn't cover anything yesterday and there's no school on Friday, so no test or quiz this week. You have nothing to turn in. The last assignment you had was on Thursday and that was due on Friday. Now, Haley, I know you're not behind Miss Nicholson. If you want to turn that assignment in that we've been emailing about, if you want to turn that in today, fine. If not, I'm just going to give you the 100. I know you've done it, so either way is fine on Thursday's homework. Jace, a Chapter 9 test. If you don't take it this week, I do think that would be a big mistake because then it'll be all spring break. But if you do not take it this week, when you come back from spring break, you will have 1 week to take it. Okay? So when you come back from spring break, you'll have 1 week to take that test. And that will be it. Okay? So that's fair enough. I've given you plenty of time. I think about 3 weeks. So do understand that. Okay? So that's about it for the announcements. Let me get a drink here. And I've got kind of some bad news. I will admit, I'm not going to deny this, I was pretty frustrated with your quizzes. For example, when I teach you the word solve means to type it into a calculator, and students don't even know how to do that, as a teacher, that's really, really depressing, frustrating, and it's just not acceptable, to be blunt with you guys. And I said that in the video. So here's what we're going to do. Don't want to embarrass anyone, but we got to do what we got to do. Jay, so you got a one, or excuse me, Azu, you got a 100, and so you can turn the video off and just study something else today. Martin, you got a 100, so you can just go ahead and turn the video off and do something else today. Whether you work on, don't disturb class, find something to do. If I was there, I'd give you a worksheet to do. Haley, you did not get a 100, but you did fine on the quiz, and so I'm sorry, this is 2 days in a row for you for study hall, and I don't want you or your parents to think that my class is a joke. Obviously, you know it's not. I push you guys. We do math every day. I just want to be nice to the seniors yesterday and give them a day off for their senior sale, and there are a couple students here, Jake and Jace. I've got to go over this quiz with them guys and really get them caught up, because if they can't do this material here, then we're going to be in trouble later on this chapter. So I've got to go over this with them now and make sure they really know it, and then I'm going to give them another quiz this week. So you three are good for today. You will have a video tomorrow. You will have homework tomorrow, and I'll probably, if you'll remember correctly, I taught something on Friday. It was called a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and then I was going to give you homework today, but now I'm going to give you homework on Wednesday. I'll probably go over that material again before I give you the homework, just a quick review since it's been so long. Okay, but that's it. So Jake and Jasa, sorry guys, I'd never want to embarrass you for $1 million, but you have got to understand how to do this math right here. So you other three, go ahead and turn the video off, and Jake and Jasa, grab some pens, pencils, and calculators. I will be checking with your teachers to make sure you've done this. If no one's in the room, then I guess I'll find that out when I check, but excuse me. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to go over your quizzes. So I'm going to work all these problems out. I expect you two to take some really good notes on this. And then here's the deal for your quiz. I'm going to give you a quiz tomorrow. So tomorrow when you walk in the class period, you're going to take a quiz. It'll be just like this. The first four will say solve. The next four will say simplify, and then I will give you two triangles. In fact, I'm going to use the exact same quiz. I'm just going to change these numbers, like 28 here might be 38. 50 right here might be 58. 81 might be 82. So it's going to be the exact same quiz. I'm just going to go in and change numbers. Okay, so that's where we are. Go ahead and I mean, I'm definitely a little perturbed. I really feel like I taught this material well, but hey, we've got to learn this. So let's get after it. Here we go. Let's go over these first four. I want to drill this into you guys' head, Jake and Jasa. Whenever I give you square roots and I say solve, you need one thing. And if you don't bring this to class, then that's your fault for not being prepared for class. That's all you need. Now, there is no one in my class that I teach that can't pick up a calculator and type these in. So I would encourage you right now to practice, because maybe you don't know how to type these in. If you're not getting out for this one, 5.29, then you need to ask someone in the room how to use your calculator when it comes to taking the square root of a number. Because if you're not getting that number out, then you're typing something in incorrectly. Okay? Let me say that again. Whenever I say solve the square root, all that you need is a calculator. All you do is you type it in. Okay? So square root of 50. Let's go ahead and type this in, and you will get, if you round correctly, 7.0 excuse me, 7. Okay, so type that into your calculator and make sure you know how to do that. All right. Okay, square root of 81. Well, if you type into your calculator square root of 81, you will get out a 9. A 9. Okay. Excuse me again. Because the square root of 81 is 9. Okay. If you type into your calculator the square root of 48, you will get this right here. 6.93. 6.93. Okay? So again, on the quiz tomorrow, when you two, and by the way, I want to be very clear, you're not taking a quiz retake, okay? The quiz you took stands. Okay, that goes into your grade for last 9 weeks, and it's not going away. I'm not going to let you just redo quizzes, guys. I explained this well. I went over it well. I told you exactly what would be on the quiz, and the other 3 grades were really high. Okay, so I'm not, let me be really clear, you're not retaking the quiz to replace your grade. Your grade that you got in your quiz stays in the grade book, but now we're going to retake it again, or now you're going to take the same quiz again, and you're going to prove to me you've learned how to do these problems, okay? You've got to know how to do this before we can move on to the other trigonometry, okay? All right, so on the quiz tomorrow, when I ask you to solve, all that you need is a calculator, and you type the problem into your calculator. Now, that's easy, okay? Now, for the next 4 problems on the quiz, whenever I use the word simplify, or another phrase I might use is radical form. If I say write your answer in radical form, or if I say simplify the radical, if I say any of those phrases, simplify or write your answer in radical form, here's what you do. As soon as your quiz is passed out to you tomorrow, list out all of your perfect squares on the side of your quiz. Now, you should know by now what your perfect squares are. I mean 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, 10 times 10, 11 times 11, 12 times 12. And we could go on and on. We're going to stop there. Now, guys, that's so easy. And by the way, I'm not being critical. Maybe you guys don't know your multiplication tables. I don't know. But if you don't, then use a calculator. Type in 2 times 2 and write down 4. Type in 3 times 3 and write down 9. Type in 4 times 4 and write down 16. All of that is up to you. But if you'll simply list out your perfect squares, it will help you. Now again, you use your perfect squares when I say what phrases. When I say simplify the radicals, or if I say write your answer in radical form. If I say either one of those 2 phrases, you know you're going to use your perfect squares. Now guys, take your calculator and take this 28 and start dividing it by each number until you find a number that goes into 28 evenly. Well, if you start with 4, if you take 28 divided by 4, type that in your calculator, 28 divided by 4, you'll get 7. It goes in evenly. So right away, you know that you want to take this 28 right here and you want to rewrite it like this. You want to put 4 times 7. Let me go over that again. Whenever I ask you to simplify or write your answer in radical form, you simply take your perfect squares and start dividing them into this number here until you find one that goes in evenly. And we found one right away. It's 4. 4 times 7. Now, which one of these two numbers should you know the square root of? Do you know the square root of 7? Well, of course not. There's no two numbers multiplied together that give you 7 that are the exact same number, but you know the square root of 4 because you know that 2 times 2 is 4. So you know the square root of 4, so cross off the 4, take the square root of 4, and put a 2 on the outside. 2 square root of 7. You're finished. That's it. Mr. Earhart, how do you know you're done? Because take your perfect squares and divide them into 7. You'll see none of these numbers will go into 7 evenly. Okay? Let's try 50 now. Number 6, the square root of 50. Okay, the directions say simplify, so you know you're going to use your perfect squares. So you start taking 4, 9, 16, 25. You start taking these numbers and dividing them into 50. 50 divided by 4, 50 divided by 9, 50 divided by 16. Use your calculator. 50 divided by 25 works. 25 goes into 50 evenly. So you know then that you're going to use 25 times 2. Guys, that's all you have to do is simply take these numbers and see if they go into the number evenly. Okay? And 25 goes into 50 evenly. So you do not know the square root of 2, but you do know the square root of 25, so cross it off, and the square root of 25 is 5, and you're left over with the square root of 2. Now let's go on to number 7. When you look at number 7, I mean really, the square root of 18 we really should know is just 9. You really should know that because you know that 9 times 9 equals 81. So you should know the square root of 81 is 9. Okay? So the answer is 9. That's it. I mean, simplify it. Well, you really solved it, Mr. Hart. Well, you could look at it like that, but I mean, you simplified as far as it can go. Now, let me say this to you. If you didn't know the square root of 81 is 9, then fine, watch this. Come over here and do what I taught you. 81 divided by 4 doesn't work. 81 divided by 9. Hey, that works. 9 times 9. So go ahead and put the square root of 9 times 9. Do you know the square root of 9? Yes, put a 3 on the outside. Do you know the square root of 9? Yes, put a 3 on the outside. Is there anything left under the radical? No, so the radical's gone. And then what do you always do to these two numbers? You always multiply them. So 3 times 3 is 9. I mean, either one of these methods is fine, but either way you're going to get 9 out for your answer. Okay? Let's stop and review again. If I say solve the radical, all that you do is take a calculator and type it into your calculator and hit enter. If I tell you to simplify or write your answer in radical form, that's when you list out your perfect squares and you divide them into the radicand, the inside number. So here we go. 48, I'm simplifying the square root of 48. 48 divided by 4, well that works. 48 divided by 4, that's 4 times 12. So I cross off the 4. We don't know the square root of 12. I cross off the 4 and put a 2 on the outside. So I'm left with 2 square root of 12. But hold it, you're not done. Because there's another number, there's a number again over here that goes into 12, and it's 4 again. You keep going, students, Jake, JC, you keep going as long as there's a number over here that divides into this number evenly. So next, we know that 4 goes into 12 evenly, so I'm going to put 4 times 3. Now, I do not know the square root of 4, but I do know the square root of 3. Cross it off and put a 2 on the outside, and you multiply these outside numbers, so you're left over with 4 square root of 3. Now you know that's your final answer because none of these numbers over here, none of these perfect squares will go into 3 evenly. And so you know you're finished. Now if you got to back this video up again, you two, and watch this again, then do that. Whatever it takes to do really well on your quiz tomorrow. Please do that, okay? Whatever it takes to do really well on this quiz. But these problems are not that difficult, all right? Okay, numbers 9 and 10. 9 and 10. we're going to find the lengths of the missing sides. All triangles are 45, 45, 90 triangles. So all of these triangles are 45, 45, 90 triangles, okay? And I gave you the formulas right down below. So I'm not at all being mean or grouchy, but if you can put numbers in for letters and solve, you can do these. For example, here's my right angle at number 9, correct? You guys know that. And you know the right angle always points to the hypotenuse. So you know 2 square root of 7 has to be your hypotenuse. We know that. So the other two sides have to be your legs. So when I ask you to find x and y in this problem, in this 45, 45, 90 problem, you're looking for 2 legs, are you not? Now look at your 3 formulas, please. Jason, look at your formulas here. Legs equal legs. Right here. L equals L. Leg equals legs. Okay? So, in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, if I find the length of one of the legs, then I know the other leg right away, because the legs will always be congruent in a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay? They will always be congruent. So, with that in mind, all we have to do is find one of the legs, and then we'll know the other one. Now let's see, what formula we're going to use. Well, how about this one? Leg equals hypotenuse over square root of 2. Here it is, right here. Leg equals. Leg equals. So leg equals hypotenuse, which is 2 square root of 7 all over. Now look at your formula. Here's L, so I put an L here. Here's H, so I put my hypotenuse here, and then in the denominator, I'm going to put square root of 2. Now, students, you are welcome to leave your answer like that. That's pretty unorthodox. I would encourage you to take this. I would encourage you to take your calculator, clear your screen, and I would type in, excuse me for yawning, I would type in 2 times square root of 7, which is what you have right here, 2 times the square root of 7, and then hit enter. And when you hit enter, you should get something like this: 5.291502, etc., etc. Okay? Now, for the denominator, simply type in the square root of 2. And you should get something like 1.414213. Sorry about that. I'm trying to look down my screen and write at the same time. 1.414213, etc. Now you don't have to type all those numbers in. You could probably just take 5.29 divided by 1.41. That's sufficient. And you would get 3.75. That's good enough. I think most of the students had 3.74. That's fine. I don't mind that. So do you see what I did here, guys? In order to find the leg of the hypotenuse, because I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, I can use this formula here. So all that I had to do is where this H is, I just had to simply put in my hypotenuse. And then the rest of it was calculator work. So if one leg is 3.37, remember, legs equal legs on 45, 45, 90 triangles. So the other leg also has to be 3.75. Okay? So there we go. We solved for both legs. Not too bad there, guys. Really, that's pretty simple. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me get a drink here, and we'll finish this up. Okay, now, notice here, excuse me, we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now here is your right angle. Your right angle always points to your hypotenuse. So I know X is the hypotenuse, okay? So I know Y has to be a what? A leg. Well, look, guys, this other side here has to be a leg also. I gave you a leg. It's a 5. And when you have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, look right here. Legs are congruent. So this Y is a leg, and if one leg is 5, then the other leg is a 5. It's just that easy. Let me say it again. Whenever you have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the legs will always be congruent. Okay? All right. Now for the hypotenuse, here's your formula right here. right in front of you, guys. I gave these to you. Okay? Hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times the leg. So hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times the leg. Well, the leg is 5. So with your calculator, well, you can write your answer like this. You can write 5 square root of 2. That's totally acceptable. Or you can take 5 times the square root of 2, and you will get 7.07. Either one of those two answers would be acceptable. Either one of those two, okay? I don't care which one you put, 7.07 or 5 square root of 2. So these are the formulas right here that you can use, okay? So, having said that, I hope I didn't come across as being mean or grouchy. I mean, sure, I'm a little frustrated. I mean, any teacher would be. I thought we went over this really well. I made the quiz. I felt pretty simple. I mean, hey, if you see the word solve, you simply use a calculator. I said that quite a few times during the video. If you don't believe me, if you don't remember that, go back and watch the lesson. I think it was 10.1. I said that many times in that teaching lesson. If it says solve, use a calculator. If it says simplify the radicals, you list out your perfect squares. 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, etc. all the way down until you get to 144. And that's usually enough. And then you take this number here. Excuse me again for yawning. I apologize, guys. A little late at night tonight. You take this number here, like 28, and you divide it by these numbers until you find one that goes in evenly. If none of them go in evenly, then you can't simplify it. And you break down your radicals, okay? For these problems down here, I mean, I would encourage you to first list out which one's the hypotenuse, which one's the leg, and then use your formulas. Use your formulas, okay? And those formulas should really help you. So go home tonight, study your quizzes. First thing tomorrow when class starts, you're going to take your quiz, and then when your quizzes are done, we're going to go ahead and get into our lesson for tomorrow, okay? I care about y'all, love y'all, I'm here to help you, but you've got to learn this. If you've not learned this, and you don't learn it, you're going to be hurting later on in our future trigonometry in this chapter. You have to know this material and you have to understand it. Okay? Have a good rest of the day. Call or email if you have any questions at all. And again, don't forget, tomorrow's class period will start off with a quiz for you two. And it's not replacing your other quiz. That quiz stands, but this will be another quiz grade that hopefully will start this 9 weeks off for you really, really well. Okay? All right. Have a good day.